everyone. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Joey Evans.
I'm Zee Garcia.
And the three of us are reviewing a two-player game.
We played it wrong. 3 players.
Lakshadweep. This is a game from India, and it's about a group of islands in India. Mm-hmm. And it is essentially like I said, it's a two-player tile-laying game that on the box says 30 minutes. And that is an upper limit, I promise you. Mm-hmm. Here's how it plays. Gameplay for this is very simple. You have a stack of tiles which you'll shuffle and kind of flip upside down because all the tiles are two-sided. And then you'll have two face up here and then the stack like this. On a player's turn, they can take any of these 3 tiles. If they take one of these tiles, they can flip it over and you can rotate it in any direction you want when you put it on the board. This tile, if they take this one, you can't flip it. So that's up to you if you want to take this one. The good thing is, when you flip a tile, all it does is reverse what's on each side. So this one has a cannery here, or fishery, that's in orange, and a house in purple, a house in orange, and a fishery in purple. That's all it does. So the first tile that's taken is placed in the middle of the table. It's replaced. It's the next person's turn. Whenever you place a tile, you simply just have to match ocean and islands like that. So as the game goes by, you'll be forming different kinds of islands as the game goes by. So, what are you doing here? You're trying to score points, and there are a few rules when you play. Whenever you play a fishery, if there's no other fishery and any other 8 tiles around it, you'll add 2 random fish tokens to it. These are worth 2 to 5 points each. If you do have a fishery, let's say this one is placed here, and there already is a fishery here, so then only 1 token is placed on it. The other rule about placement is there can only be 1 hotel, doesn't matter what color, per island. And then finally, if you are the person to finish an island, you'll take the top point chip here, which progressively gets smaller, but hey, they're points. Once all the tiles have been placed, you're going to score all the different things that are out there. You'll notice there's coral in the ocean, that's just majority. Whoever has more coral pieces in the ocean is going to get 10 points. Forests are pretty simple, they're just 3 points each. Hotels give you points for the number of people on the island. So this hotel would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points for this island. Houses go to whoever has more houses per island, and then you would get the square. So this island is just simply getting 1 to the orange player, but these purples are going to give 4 to that player. And then you'll see the docks here. A dock is going to give you points based on the number of different things you have on an island. So this port here, if I have 4 different things of my color on island, I'll get 10 points. And there's a little chart here. So this shows you how each thing, this reference guide, shows you how each of the things score. And you just add all your stuff together at the end, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Slight variation, you can play an advanced way where you have these tokens, and they're double-sided orange and purple. And instead of taking points when you finish an island, you can pick one of these, and it might double the value of a hotel, or let you add a house somewhere, or give you bonus points for the tiles that you have coral on. And so you get one of these whenever you finish an island or when you build your second forest. That's how you play. Okay, first of all, I'll say this. They had that advanced mode with the tokens.
Yeah.
I would probably never play the other way. If you can understand the game, because there's like 7 different ways to score things.
Right.
Adding 1 more bonus token things, I don't think overwhelms it.
I agree.
No,
I think
I agree.
that livens it up.
Yep.
It also makes forests a little better. Instead of just being 3 points, having 2 forests now is 3 points plus 1 of those tiles. Now, the tiles themselves are not easy to read. Mm-hmm. I wish that the tiles had a white background with the purple building on or the orange building on, rather than the whole tile being purple. Because like one is, I always am like, which is that? I mean, the reference cards are there.
Yeah.
I think generally speaking, the graphic design here left a little something to be desired for me. I thought it was decent. I thought it could have been better. And those tiles just sort of illustrate that very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But generally, the different buildings, yes, some things are obvious, like the coral out in the oceans or the sea. That's easy. But some of the buildings are a little samey. You know what I mean?
You have to look closer to see if it's at a hotel or a fishery or whatever. And you can tell quickly, but at a glance, you can't tell. That's the big thing, you know,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Also, like the fisheries get covered up with fishing tokens.
Right.
If you put bonus tokens on the board. But I think it looked, to me, I didn't dislike the look of the tiles. There's something about the Carcassonne style games that I'm always like, ooh, look what we're building.
It's pleasant.
I always like that.
It is.
It is pleasant.
And that is my term for this game. It is a pleasant game because no matter what you do, you're helping your opponent a little.
Right.
I mean, sort of. You're trying to be like, okay, haha, your house isn't here, but you never will give them nothing. And a good
Right.
example, that's the coral, right? Like, most of the time in your first couple games, I'm sure you'll be like, give the other person the coral because I want the house on that. But coral's 10 points at the end of the game, which can
Sure.
swing the game.
Yeah, and it is funny because you have that give and take where you flip, and it's such a simple decision. You know, you choose one of these. Which way do you put it? Drop it down.
Yeah.
And for me, I had you go certain ways. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give him all the houses, and that was an enormous mistake, by the way. I got whooped. So don't do that. And then you've got the decision too. You're like, you know what? I could extend this island and hopefully get more things on it, or I could close it off now. And I like the decisions that are being made in those little 3 choices.
Yeah, it really is neat that you can you look at a tile without even flipping it. You know that everything will be color reversed.
That's one thing I hate about reverse tiles normally.
Yeah.
Is I have to look at both sides. You just know what the other side
You
is.
know
Right.
what it is. You
Yeah.
know exactly what it's going to look like. And it's a great built-in balance of I have to give you something, give me something. Speaking of coral, I think that's the most interesting wiggle room. Because if I end the game having given you a bunch of coral, but I own 9 of them and you own 8, I don't care. I get 10 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
So I really liked that part. I liked taking an early lead in coral, and then I can give you some for a while.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because if I bring you up close to me, it's inconsequential. As soon as you pass me, of course, that's a 10-point flip. You know,
It is.
so I like that one is not, I just like the way that scores because it does allow for that wiggle room, whereas everything else, if I'm giving you something, you're scoring it. I'm giving you something.
And it's funny, thematically, you don't think of a 2-player game being that thematic, but it's really fun. That type of thing, then you've got the fisheries, which it makes sense. If you're too close to the fishery, you're not going to catch as many fish.
Right.
So you get more. You're like, I'm going to be a little bit further away from you. Kind of, this is my area. It's interesting, the hotels, you're going to look how many people are there. I like that. The theme really is there.
The fisheries does add some randomness.
That's the
with
thing.
The tokens,
Sure,
and those
sure.
are pretty big swings. They're 2
They
to 5
are.
points. But I don't mind that because, again, you can push for that. And also, if you get all the fisheries, there's less randomness.
That's true.
Right, yeah.
Give me all the tokens. And
It's
I've
also-
seen that in games.
It's a very light game. Again, like you said, at most 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of game that you can certainly shuffle up and play again immediately after you've played and see how you do the second time. It's quick. It's easy to play. And it certainly will develop in different ways. You
Yep.
play a little bit chicken of like, I don't want to be the one to allow you to close this island. I'm going to play a little chicken. I'm going to grow it. Keep growing because I got a hotel there. Let's pack this island full of people. All those little things are a little thematic, like you said.
Right.
Change the play and what you do. You need to keep an eye on your opponent and what they're doing, but you need to
Yep.
worry about what you're doing. How are you scoring points? What's your attack strategy? Yeah, it's interesting. Mostly, though, not super cutthroat because you have to give them something, and so do they. You're getting stuff on their turns. So pleasant.
And
Still
with
comes
player
out.
interaction, because they might close off an island, not with any malice or anything. You're like, "Oof, I really wanted to add one more thing to that island.
Yeah.
But it's really like, okay, just going to pivot and not mention that. It's fun.
You mentioned it.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
mentioned it a lot.
I whined about it a bit.
So, one of the games this reminded me of was Land vs. Sea.
Right.
Which is a similar aspect. If you played that game, though, there's a big difference in what you mentioned. This is pleasant interaction.
Yes.
Land vs. Sea, you're like cutthroat. And I think there's something to be said for it because I like competitive games that are cutthroat. I don't mind having one that's less cutthroat.
This also seemed less, I don't want to use the word fiddly. I liked this more. It seems smoother than Land vs. Sea to me.
Shorter.
It's shorter. Yeah, and not as deep probably, but I enjoyed the experience with this more.
What would you give it?
I'm coming in at a nice, pleasant 7. I like it. This is one I would recommend if you're looking for a tile-laying game. If you enjoy Carcassonne, it's one of your, original enjoyments in the hobby, and it is for me, certainly. Then this is something I would say, you know what, if you find yourself playing 2-player a lot, you can't get a whole group together, try this out. I think you'll like it. It's going to give you that pleasant feeling. but some bite, some fun things to think about, you know? And evolution from session to session, you will discover those things where you go, ooh, houses are really good.
Right.
Ooh, I can play with the coral. And I can give you some without giving you anything, really. So there's some growth there, and I enjoy it. It's not mind-blowing to me by any means, but I liked it, so I'm coming in at a 7.
And you?
A bit higher, 7.5, just because I do like it fits a very odd niche where you don't have time for a full game, especially if you do 2-player games. This has meat to it, it's fun, it's relaxing, it hits the table quickly, and it's just, you enjoy the experience on this, and it looks great. So I can see this being played a lot as far as 2 players, if you and your partner are just going back and forth. It's a really, really fun game, a great experience.
I'm coming in at an 8. I really like it.
Yeah.
I just found this to be... I like pleasant 2-player experiences. Don't get me wrong. I love stabbing you too.
Right.
You know, that's fun.
Yes, I know that.
But this one, just in different ways to score. It looks pretty on the table. I like the theming and that it comes from India. I think that's really cool. It feels different. Honestly, you know, we talk about things that are overdone. There's too many roll and rights. There's too many polyanos. There's not that many tile laying games. There really isn't.
There's not.
And that's with Carcassonne coming out in like 2000. It's been 23 years now, and I don't even know if I could do a top 10. I probably could.
Gone to like polyominoes, I feel like.
Right.
But good old Carcassonne style build a map type.
Yep.
There's not that many, you're right, and I love seeing it. Yeah, it warms my heart to see that kind of game. It really does.
It's like I made that after you're done. You're like, yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Well, there you go. That's Lakshadweep.
Dweep. Lakshadweep.
Yeah, I had it at the beginning of the video. Anyway,
You
until
nailed
next
it.
time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Joey Evans.
I'm Zee Garcia.
Have fun playing this game.